you could, it's just Kickstarter.com, and then the name of our game is obviously Paths, World of Adia. But if you just type in Adia or World of Adia, you'll likely find it on the page. You'll see this page without ClickTrack, unless you have ClickTrack downloaded. By the way, we are at 99 backers and $5,227. So we are on our way to funding. We're really excited. Everybody in the team is excited. We're really hoping to hit that golden number and then dip into the stretch goals, because I will tell you what we're really excited about is some of the extra modules we're going to include with the game if we hit those stretch goals. And if we do, by some miracle, and with a miracle of all of your support, if we get to a $60,000 goal, we are going to have a bust of the Tuskar warrior available, and that's going to be physical, right, Sean? That's going to be shipped physical.
You're talking about the
warrior, the Tuskar warrior bust.
Oh yes, the mini. Yes, if we hit that stretch goal, that will be a physical.
That will be a physical miniature that gets shipped to you all. That you can have fun painting and maybe put on. He'll watch over your games. Maybe when you use the solo GM in a box, right? He's your GM, watching steadfully over your table. So if you visit our page, scroll down, you'll get to the GM in a box, which has some animations, and then Secrets of Tiny Dane and See the Rules. If you click on See the Rules, the blue button, I actually just updated the document today because we didn't have page numbers, and I wanted to make it a little bit easier for you to track where things were in the book, so I added some page numbers into the PDF file. But you go to, it's going to take you to the Google Drive folder, and everything you need to create your character is going to be there. It's the Path Guidebook Beta 1.8.1, and you just click that, and you'll be able to scroll through with us and create a character. Okay. So, and then under Create Your Own Character, there are PDF sheets available for you to do so with us. All these are editable as long as you have the Adobe Reader, I believe. And you can download those and move along with us, or you can print them out and make a character with us. So, back to it. So, does anybody want to chime in with anything before we jump into this? Sean?
I mean, not yet, but what I have done is if you're on Twitch or you're on Facebook, I have put the Kickstarter link in there too, because I know some of you are watching on Facebook, some of you are watching on Twitch, and some of you are watching on Twitter.
Yes.
So I've put links in different places for everyone for either the Kickstarter or to go check out the rules or anything else that you may need. Feel free to ask questions. I will be answering them in chat. And if not me, Fen might be as well. So we're good to go.
And if you have any questions, you can throw it up in chat. The chat should show for everything we're streaming to. We're using the wonderful Restream.io for this, which allows us to stream across multiple platforms. Okay, so I guess we mosey right into this. Let me go and pull up my PDF.
Let me get my mucking boots.
Your mucking boots. There we go.
Thanks, Boxy.
Boxy's chiming in. Let me see if I could do something semi-creative here. Semi-creative.
Below you are this one.
I'm going to see if I could do this. If I move this over here, yeah, let's do that. Let's do it this way. This should work. Make it relatively easy for you all to follow along. But I'll have the rules, the player guidebook on one side, and also this blank sheet on this side. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go to the class for this. And hello, class. How's everybody? That's you. You are the class.
Doing pretty well.
Good.
Doing well. Actually showed up today, you know.
Yeah. So the first thing we're going to do is how to create your character. Now, there's a lot of lore in here, So if you're not sure about the world of Adia, and if you're on the fence, because the lore, which definitely shouldn't be a reason because there's tons of it. The book itself, the example of the book, has extra lore in there, luscious, delicious lore. There's a section that tells you how to play paths, and scrolling down, I will get to it eventually. Blah, 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 blah. Creating a character. Here we go. So step one in creating a character. We're going to create that character concept. So you want to have an idea of what kind of character you want to play, how they're going to act on the battlefield, those things like that. And then you're going to move from there and pick a race. So let's start. And this is always the fun part. On the player name portion, and these are still in development. A lot of what you see here on the character sheets, so these are not final. There are things we're working to improve with them. But under player name, you're just going to write your name. So Will, and everybody go ahead and follow along. Class, follow along. And then
Smunchy.
I'll be honest, I usually don't choose a character name until I build out the rest of my character. That's just my personal feeling toward it. So I'm not going to do that yet. But we're going to move to the next step, where it's choosing a race. So I'm going to go ahead and start and ask Sean. Sean, what are you going to be playing in our future campaign?
Well, I really love Tuskar. But actually, I'm going to do something a little different.
Mm-hmm.
I am actually going to play a Senzai, which is going to be pretty interesting for me because I normally don't, as far as race goes. And then when we get to the next part, I'll tell you what's going to happen there.
Sure. So Senzai. I'm gonna have Sean. I'm gonna read off to him, and he has his guidebook there as well. There's a lot in here too. Their age, mentality, the size of those creatures. We are adding more elements to it as well. Names that you might encounter in the Senzai. Okay, so starting stats, Sean. You have a base dodge value of 16. You have strength of 15. Agility of 20.
Okay.
Toughness of 10.
That's 10.
Int of 8.
Okay.
Spirit of 13. And social of 4.
Perfect.
The things you gain with your Senzai is you have animal spirit. You have the ability to speak with beasts and birds. And those beasts and birds are kind of keywords if you're Magic players. But there are different types of creatures in our world. So specific to beast and bird type, Senzai can converse with them essentially. You could take that how you want when you're leading a group. It could be like through body movement and stuff, or they can legit just, hey, how's it going? Okay, you also gain martial arts. When you're attacking unarmed, you deal an additional 1d6 worth of damage. And you guys can all see this in the book. Senzai also have leap, which is an ability where you could leap forward an extra 15 feet in a straight line in addition to any other movement during a position action. This is one thing that we're probably tweaking a little bit in the future because, again, this is a developing system here a little bit and growing. But leap, we might do something a little bit different where you can actually perform an action following that leap. So it might be a position and action guard combined to do an attack. But right now, it just does a pure 2d6 plus your strength modifier worth of damage. Danger senses you also have built into your racial abilities. You cannot be taken by surprise by mundane means, and you know the location of the attacker. And then your languages are common in Senzai. Okay. Annie, what are you going with?
Hello. Okay. Well, I think, I kind of have a thing for orcs, so I think I'm going to stick with the orc.
Okay, you're going to go for an orc. Let me pull that up. Do you have your guide in front of you? Okay, cool. That's fine. So if you're choosing an orc, there's a lot of lore up here, so you guys can read into that. And
These are the top results.
I guess my Google phone. Thought I said hey Google.
It wants to play too. That's
Yeah.
okay.
It just said these are the top results. I was like, what?
Boy.
Okay, so starting stats for an orc. Your starting base dodge value is 13. You have strength of 5, agility of 17, and as she's writing, I will sort of show where these things are going. So base dodge value is right here. Her strength of 5 is going to go here. So the actual pure ability scores go here, and then the modifiers are here on our sheet. So I'll talk about modifiers when we get to that. So strength, and then you had agility 17. Did I already read that to you, Annie?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Toughness of 5. Int of 20.
Mhm.
Spirit of 15.
Mhm.
Social of 8. You are a weapon master. Right out of the gate, your late race allows you proficiency in 3 weapons of your choice. You're also a master craftsman. You gain a +2 bonus to any type of crafting check. And you are magically inclined. Out of the gate, you gain 1 additional memory slot. All characters start with a single memory slot for spells. Orcs start with 2. So you're all aware. Okay, and then languages Orcish and Comish. Oh, Orcish and Common.
Comish?
I don't know. I like
Comish.
Comish. That's kind of
Comish.
Comish is that an official change now?
Give me a second. You know, I
Gosh.
just discovered that like I'll be right back.
Oh, okay.
Be on to someone else. I gotta go grab a thing.
All right. I'll jump back up to Fen. Fen, what do you got? What do you got for me?
I'm thinking about. I'm torn because I want to play a Firecrest Elf because I haven't played one in a while.
Okay.
But I'm also like leaning towards Courser.
Do you want to reflect on that, and I'll go to Marine? Marine.
Yes. Why don't
Okay.
you?
Marine, what do you got for me, buddy?
I'm going against the grain as well. I'm gonna play as a human.
What?
I was like,
That's
I want to play
awesome.
human, but I was like, I'll deviate from my normal because I
Well-
usually play.
Well, yeah, I normally would play either a Senzai or a Paradisian because I
Mhm.
love mages, but I'm avoiding that for
Interesting.
this.
also
Sorry.
breaking the
Yeah.
mold. So
He is. He's just breaking that mold right up.
Wait, what did you decide to go with this time? I
Human.
missed it.
playing a
Human.
human.
A human.
Marine's playing human.
All right.
He's playing a human. What are you
Yeah.
Marine,
I don't know
your
yet. I'm
base
torn.
dodge value is 13. Your
Mhm.
strength is 15. And again, I'm going to show where these are. Strength is 15. Agility is 10. Toughness, 14. Intellect, 15. There's an intelligence. We'll just say int, right? Spirit, 7. Social, 9.
Intellect sounds better.
Your racial abilities are you are adaptable. You can add +10 to a single ability stat of your choice. So your ability stat again are your core abilities, and what's nice about that is you get a little boost on your starting abilities, and we'll go into that as well. You also are a natural navigator. You can travel unhindered through all weather conditions. So when that plays out in any type of travel or role playing session, weather conditions don't affect you. You're also a craftsman. You gain +1 to any craft check, Marine. And you're also a born leader. You gain +2 ranks in leadership out of the gate. And leadership over here, ladies and gents, is down here on the sheet, and these are your skills. So he would right out of the gate get a +2 there, and then any other thing that would add to that as you see it, we'll go through. Okay, I think I'm going back to Fen now. Are you feeling a little better about your choices?
I'm feeling a little bit more confident in my choices. I think I'm going to go with the Courser. I'm going to further break out of the
Courser.
What?
realm that I live in.
What?
Yeah, I know. We're all breaking the mold today, so I mean,
I am man enough to admit that I forgot how to spell Courser.
there's only
COUSER.
There it
Or
is.
no, it's COU.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna correct you and also be incorrect.
Well, actually,
COURSERS.
yeah, I found it. I found
Yeah.
it. Okay, so Courser, starting skills, Fen, when you're ready, base dodge value of 15. Dodge value, base dodge of 15.
I've got it open, so you can actually just keep going, and I will catch up.
Okay, strength of 8, agility 20, toughness 8, int 15, spirit 5, social 14. And his racial abilities, they're very fast and hard to hit. It's courser speed. They gain plus 10 feet bonus to their walk speed. They also have exceptional hearing. He gets a plus 2 bonus to all listen checks. He's also a tracker. He gains plus 1 bonus to survival checks when tracking a creature by scent. Bite is basically an unarmed attack that he has unlocked because he can bite things. You can use your strength to attack and deal 1d6 piercing damage. So when it says use your strength, it's going to be 1d6 plus your strength modifier. And then he has the ability to shift between courser and human form. When you shift out of your courser form into human, you lose all of your courser racial traits and gain these following traits. Plus 2 bonus to all survival checks, plus 1 bonus to leadership checks, and plus 1 bonus to diplomacy checks. Language is common and courser for you, Finn. Okay, so we went through. I mean, I feel like what's left? You guys hit all of them except for Firecrest, right?
Tuskar.
No Paradisian.
Tuskar,
Oh,
Paradisian,
okay.
And I think that's it.
So you know what? Then that tells me what I'm gonna make. I'm gonna make a Paradisian.
Ooh.
So Paradisian.
How colorful are you?
I'm thinking about that, right? Because I have to. Again, my way of doing this, instead of coming up with a character, I let the process itself flow into, so whatever class I end up choosing will then decide what type of plumage I'm rocking.
It's gonna be wonderful. Will is gonna be brilliant.
So Paradisian is mine, and the modifiers starting ability stats I start with are a base DV of 14. My strength is 5, and agility 15. Toughness 3. Int 15. Oh. My spirit is 17. Ooh, that's spirit though. That's spirit though. And then my social score is 15. Okay, so we have all chosen our races. Ooh. If we go back up to the big character sheet, it's going to tell us to choose our classes next. So, Sean, I think you've been stewing enough up there. What are you going with for your class?
Okay, so hold on a second. All right.
Oh, and actually, let me pause for 1 second. We did have a question. Who's got the highest strength? Off the top of my head, I think Tuskar might have the highest strength score, base strength score. But once we choose our classes, there's another phase where we calculate out some of our abilities and our skills. And also, you're allowed 40 extra points on top of your base given abilities by your race to customize it.
Yeah, I think Firecrest Elves come in at a very close second when it comes to strength.
Right.
So, and I know Tuskar definitely have the highest toughness.
So, yeah. So basically, what ends up happening is all of those abilities, you get to add 40 points to them. So, and all of your modifier skills, so the plus amount is on the 10 spot of the number. So I'll just write it down here so you can see. So if you have a score of 10, that one carries over, and that is a +1 modifier. If it's all the way up to 19, is a +1 modifier. When it goes into 20, it's a 2 modifier, +2, and so on and so on and so on. Our ability stats have a hard ceiling of 100 in our system. So if you're doing a buying ability stat bonuses or points, With experience, your character can only hit the 100 ceiling on those ability scores, which would give you a plus 10 to any modifier attached to them.
Which is a little ridiculous, considering you roll like 3d8s for stuff.
Right.
That's a pretty big boost.
Pretty much. Okay, so racial abilities. I have the ability to fly. And I can fly up to twice my walking speed in per position card. So if I use a position card, I can use a position card to take off and land, and I can fly twice my walking speed with that position card. Half of walking speed when first taking off due to physical features. So basically, if you if you have a Paradisian, you might want to stack those position cards to be able to get extra movement and things like that. Then magically inclined, I gain 1 + 1 grade 1 arcane. And my handwriting is horrible, so I apologize for that. Persuasive, I gain +2 ranks in diplomacy. So I'm going to put that right there, right over here, right now. So +2. And then my languages are common and Paradisian. Common and Burb. How's that sound? There you go. Okay. We have not added starting adventure gear to the races yet and some of the classes, but we are going to be adding that in as well. So when you start off with any of your race class stuff, it will tell you exactly the weapons you start with and equipment you start with. There also is not a payment required for equipment out of the gate with your characters. All of the things that you're getting with your characters are quote unquote free. If you want to upgrade them or spend, there will be starting gold. That amount we are still balancing out, anywhere probably from like 5 to 10 starting gold, and you could customize a little bit further the first time you hit town if you want to. But everything that you will pretty much need in these characters will be baked right into choosing your class and your race right from the get go. Okay, Sean, back to you. Sorry, class.
Oh no, you're good. There was actually another question of who had the highest strength out of all of us.
Oh,
right now.
Without putting the 40 points in,
hard to tell at the moment.
I only have a base of 5.
Yeah, so you have 0. Like you have a 0 mod, right?
Yeah, 0 mod. 0 mod to start.
I have a +1 to my mod.
I believe it's going to be a tie between both Marine and Smunchy.
Mm-hmm.
We have strength values of 15.
Yeah. So Sensei and Human right now we have the highest strength.
So there you go. Okay.
Class. Okay.
So now moving on to class, and now we are going to bounce around a little bit here because we can't calculate these scores until we move into the class choice. And our skills, we're going to wait to really calculate any of the bonuses and stuff there, only because we didn't add our 40 points over here, and our class will also do some fun things because we're going to actually go over 2 ways to build classes here. One way, you choose a base class with 3 paths. So whatever base class you choose, you get the 3 paths there, and then you get 1 path point to spend on another path. And that could be one of the higher tiers of one of your 3 base paths, or, big or here, you can actually multi-class right out of the gate. So if I decide to go with like a mage with my Paradisian, instead of going into a tier 1 mage skill set, or I should say path, I could go into a core. I lost the word for it. Base, a route. Sorry, a route of a single path of another class, and we'll look at that when we get into it. So anyway, Sean, what do you got for me?
Okay, so are we looking at 1.8.1 or newest development?
It's going to be 1.8.1, so that everything that's available to everybody out there right now.
Cool. All right, so in that case, I might still make a necromancer.
Ooh, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift over to, if you look at your character sheets, There are there's the basic sheet, your items and equipment, and then the character continued here is your paths and your route paths. So Sean is going to go with the necromancer. So we're going to pull up necromancer in a second. But if you look at this sheet here that I have on the screen, you just write down all the things you gain with your route paths. I like to write down as a heading each of the route paths, and then I'll write down whatever I add in the further exploration of my paths. So okay, so with what Sean just said, necromancer. Let me pull it up here. Here is our necromancer. Okay, so I will give a quick word of caution. 1.81.1. Some of the things here in all route paths for character creation are not correct. You want to scroll down to the actual necromancer path section in the document and actually look at the route paths there. And that happened with different classes when we were updating our documents. So that's just word to the wise on that. Okay, so necromancer. He has a route path of magic. So magic. Sean, do you want to explain with the path color why that's significant?
Yeah. What is that color right now? Because I
Blue.
know that's changed in the newest
Blue.
development.
Oh,
Blue.
it might have changed. It might have changed.
The color itself didn't change, but the name magic has actually changed.
Okay.
So, but the reason why it's blue is because blue on the essentially the color affinity spirit magic spectrum
Yep.
means arcane. So colors are actually tied to specific types of spirit magic.
Right.
So necromancy can use arcane magic, which is really cool.
And just as a heads up, so when let's say he rocks a necromancer, and he ends up going deeper down the magic path, with each path, it normally will tell you what color that is. So like we know that magic is blue. So every tier he goes into to blue, the blue side of the magic path. Once he hits 5 path points in that specific color, he then gains that affinity. That affinity grants him bonuses to his spells that are of that same color, and they actually grant resistances against those types of spells as well. So as you're building your characters out and you build your paths, and the reason these colors are also important outside of lore is once you hit 5 in any given color of path, you then gain affinity, the term affinity. You keep that affinity until you switch or another path takes more than that affinity. So for example, if he's down the blue path and then he dips into orange with another multi-class and orange overtakes his blue, he's no longer blue affinity, he's now orange affinity. And there is no hybridization of blue-orange affinity. Whatever your highest tier or highest amount in your path is for magic, that becomes your affinity number, and that's how your bonuses and resistances work with magic.
That's right.
So yeah. So with that, so you are going to get a few things here. So each path unlocks a few things. It actually gives you your skills. So by choosing the magic path, and this is development 1.8.2, which is almost done baking. When it hits, Necromancer has actually been completely reworked. But this is just for demonstration's sake. So Sean is going to gain Arcane 2, Channeling 3, Knowledge of Religion 1, Knowledge of Undead 2, and I'll switch back over to the skills here. And you'll see here, Knowledge, he would just write down Religion, Undead, and then he would write down the numbers that he has in those skills.
Yep.
Cool. Passing down, so that is those are the skills he gains. He also gains the ability called Devourer of Souls. When a living target dies within 10 feet, he gains 5 spirit. He also gains necromantic spells cost half the XP than normal. He also gains 2 additional memory slots, and the reason memory slots are important, when you look at your spells, and there is actually a little spell sheet here to help you, But the spells, you would just write down the name of the spell and then what page it's on to help reference it. And then your amount of memory slots means how many spells you can actually hold in the old noggin. And if ever you learn a spell and you don't have space for it in the old noggin, you have to wipe another spell from your knowledge. And that's why the memory slots are important. There are ways for you to sort of shuffle that. There are magic items that exist where you could write them into a spell book and tap into them later and swap them. But basically, for all intents and purposes, if you're on an adventure, whatever's in your memory slots are what's available to you. The only way to sort of swap back and forth is if you specifically speak with the GM and work all that stuff out. Cool. Okay. You have now the losing one refresh and gaining 2 spell cards is not a thing anymore. We took that out of our trees. So again, because this is a little bit outdated, you're only going to gain more cards. And this is where we talk about these beautiful encounter cards. And what that means is forget the lose refresh card, but he gains, let's say he gains 2 spell cards. Now he has more ability to cast spells before having to refresh. And then you also gain the ability called Deathcaster. You can expend SP, your spirit pool, while casting to reduce a spell's pending by 1. And again, I got rid of the sheet, but if you have a spell up in your pending zone with a 3 count on it, you could spend SP from your spirit pool to reduce it to 2. And then it would go off quicker, essentially. Okay. Then we move on to that's just the root path for magic. There's also hold on a second. Did all these linked in here? There's magic. Tier 3, Tier 4, Tier 5. Okay, there it is. Root path death. He gains two action cards to add to his deck. There's no gain of health from divine spells, which I don't know if that's been tweaked. Probably has, maybe not, has not. But essentially, if somebody tries to heal him with a divine spell, he's not getting healed. he's too far out of it.
But
yeah, that most likely has changed. And then death reward, you heal 5 points for every enemy or ally killed. But you all get the point. So we're going to skip forward a little bit here, Sean. What tier 1 path do you want to go into in Necromancer, or do you want to go into dip into a different class?
I would like to dip into a different class.
Okay.
And I am going to choose one route path into the Spirit Guide Shaman path. That means I get to shapeshift and be a necro. What?
What?
Okay. All right.
That's insane.
So we're gonna scroll down here to the shaman.
That's a Pokemon.
You can't
and-
catch me.
And the
What you're
root
saying,
path
Smunchy, is you are a sensei now, and by that we mean you can
Right.
be.
So because he's choosing that route path, he also gets to add in more skills, another utility card, Tongue of Beast. But the problem is, Sean, you can't shapeshift yet. Because you can't do that until tier 1. So
But it's soon. It's
So yeah,
coming soon.
it's coming soon. So essentially, once he goes through his first adventure, he could take whatever experience gains he got to purchase a path point to then be able to buy into tier 1 to be able to shapeshift under that tree. Ta-da! Okay, so with that being said, Finn, what are you looking at here for a class?
I'm thinking about the warrior.
The warrior.
Ooh, strong and rugged.
Yeah.
I know it.
So as you're going through, and as you all maybe who are following along at home and watching the VOD, When you go down to the class
out
section,
of their minds.
you could see how you sort of write this down. And again, you could write it in shorthand in the path section here. The skills you gain, I usually skip any of the specific like skills and things like that, only because I manually just add them to my front sheet here. Anytime I'm going to get like, skill bonuses because of the class I chose. But you could basically write them here if you want to, but this is kind of like a shorthand of the special abilities you're gaining because of your route paths or any tier paths that you have along the way, basically as a reference. Okay. So Fen, what you said warrior, right?
Yes. Has it changed from 1.8.1 to 1.8.2?
No, but it's still under review.
Okay. Because I don't have access to 1.8.1 right now. I don't know why it's not on my drive.
I've got.
Sorry.
Do you have
Oh,
the
but you know what? You can
public?
actually go to the Kickstarter right now.
Oh, I can. I can go find it myself.
Yeah.
The rules.
You could I don't know,
Man.
follow the instructions I did at the beginning of the the stream this evening. Anyway, so looking at the warrior, again, if you are all following the book, skip the part that says all route paths. You go right down to the actual warrior paths themselves. Combat is one of the paths. So Fen, your route path of combat, you are gaining leather armor proficiency. You are proficient in 3 light weapons of your choice. You gain 1 action card. And for those of you at home, you can write down any action cards you're gaining. The base amount of action cards you start with is 1 across the board. And then as you're building out your class, you could start adjusting those numbers. Now, once you're done with your class build, you should have a solid number there of the actual cards that will be in your encounter deck. Oh, which we went over at the beginning of the stream. If you weren't here for it, you guys can catch the video on demand later. Okay, so
I think I'm gonna dive into the tactics path.
so you actually get all 3 route paths.
Yes.
If I wasn't clear on that. So Fen is actually getting all for time. We're going to go ahead and skip ahead, but he's getting all 3 route paths, which are combat, tactics, and
arcane training.
Yes, arcane training. And then you're going to go into the tactics path. Yes.
Yes, I'm gonna dive down tactics.
So if you look at the way it's written here, tier 1, you can choose. This is a and or scenario. Sorry, not and or, just or. He can either do Operation 1 or Strategy 1. If he chooses Operation 1, now I guess just which one are you going with?
I think I'm gonna go with Operation 1.
So Operation, he gains an action called Reposition. Everyone in the player's party can take an immediate position action even if they don't have a position card. So basically, by him, because this is a skill that, again, this is under review, that action will most likely require him to use either a utility card or a combination of cards, but that gives any other player in the party the ability to reposition without spending the card. Rearm. You may expend your refresh cards to refresh someone else's hand instead of your own, which is awesome. And then you gain a refresh card as well with that tier 1 path. Okay, so Fen has his class worked out. Annie, what do you got for me?
Yeah.
What do you got for me?
What I got? All right, I'm gonna go with a mage.
A mage.
A mage. Yes.
A
I
mage.
feel like with that strong noggin of mine, where I can put extra spells in it, probably a good idea.
I just typed maged.
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 You've been maged.
You've been maged.
You have been maged.
All right, let me find a mage here. Do you have the book up, Annie, or
I do now.
Did you come in unprepared for class?
I just clicked on the link from the Kickstarter. So
See, like, I mean, can I just point out that this is exactly like I was in actual school, of where I did not have anything open and was completely unprepared. So really, I'm just following in my own foot.
You know what the best part is? If you search mage in this document, you're gonna have to you're gonna go through all the damage words as well. So
yeah.
so rip search function on that.
Yeah, no. Luckily, I have the outline on the sidebar here, so I was able to jump right to my mage paths.
Yeah, that's nice. Nice to have.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find it. Sorry.
If you go to page 87 of 290
Oh!
something or other.
Oh, my page numbers are working.
Sweet. There you go.
87. Also, for anybody watching the video, if you're in like the Northeast Pennsylvania area, I will travel as far down to like the Philadelphia area, into parts of New Jersey and New York, all the way into New York City as well. I do have manuals printed out, and I am open to and willing to run your local game store through a group. So if you guys would like me to come and GM a session for you, that is an open invitation. I know it's like this is embedded deep into the video on demand, but I am available to do that on a weekend. We just would have to schedule it out, but I do want to be available within my region to be able to share that with anybody who's out there. Okay.
Cool.
It's 87. 87.
Mm-hmm.
Did you say 87?
Should be 87. That's what I got. Or 83, maybe?
I have Necromancer on 87.
I got... Oh, 83. I'm sorry.
83 is also Necromancer in my book.
Really? That is not what it is on mine.
Oh dear.
Oh, boy.
Do you actually have page numbers on the bottom of your document?
No, I've
Okay.
got...
So that's
Yeah.
the other file.
Ah.
I uploaded a different file today.
Right.
It should be there.
That explains a lot. Alright.
Should be there.
For me, mage is on page 65.
Control F.
And I'm in the right document, the one that has the pages on the bottom.
Thank you, sir. Okay, 65.
Someone actually is prepared for class.
65.
I've
Okay.
been, I've been in. I had this document up before I joined the thing.
65. Maj.
I mean, I did have a document open with the base book. I mean,
The other thing too is I did skip it on some of the other ones because we don't have it in all of the classes, but some of them will have starting equipment loadout. All of them will have that in our final version of this, which tells you exactly what you get. So mage gets a cap, tailored robes, gloves, pants, and shoes, which is actually a little bit more specific in what we have. Okay, so mage paths.
yes.
Knowledge.
Mhm.
All spell prices are reduced by half when gaining new spells via XP. So basically, that just makes it cheaper for you to buy spells. Arcane 5. So your skills are as follows: you get +5 to Arcane, +5 to Knowledge of History, and Research +2. So before we dive into all of that, because you're going to be reading along on your own there, what do you want to go into a tier of the mage, or do you want to go into a root path of another class?
I am going to go down a tier, I believe.
Okay.
I'm going to go down the magic path. Yes. What?
Magic.
Magic.
Magic. Okay, tier 1. You can choose Lessons of Magic 1 or Energy 1. What do you choose?
Let's see.
And I'll read through them quick for everybody out there in chat land. Gain 1 grade 1 or grade 2 arcane spell. Some of these things will morph a little bit because we did not start with the grade 0 spells in our initial design. We are adding grade 0 spells, so the rewarding here might change. You might gain a grade 0 and grade 1 or 2. You will see that in the upcoming changes to the book. Right now, the way it stands, follow exactly the way it reads here to play out your character, but there will be changes in the near future for that,
Okay.
based on a lot of feedback we received. So, thank you.
Let's see. Actually, isn't there like a bunch for the tier 1? Like, I've got like a bunch of options. It's a
Illusion's the other. I'm sorry.
There's like
Yeah.
a bunch.
Wow.
Enchantment, conjuring.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I know. It's a lot of cool stuff.
Rip. I thought there was only 2. Lessons of Magic 1, Energy 1, Illusion 1, Enchantment 1, Conjure 1, or Restricted Arcane. So I'll let you stew on that, Addie, and you can
Okay,
let us
there's
know.
so many
We'll,
choices.
we'll come back.
Actually, I did know already what I wanted, but that's okay.
Oh, which one is
Yeah,
that?
'cause I'm gonna do conjure 1.
Yes, there are a ton for mage.
Yeah, there's a bunch.
Yes.
So I'm gonna go with conjure 1.
You're going with Conjure 1, increasing your health, the health of conjured creatures by 30 points. That's really cool. You gain 1 grade 1, grade 2, or grade 3 conjure spell. Doubling cast, you may create twice the amount of summoned creatures each cast, increasing the maintaining spirit cost by 5. And that basically means is if you have a summon up every time you're keeping that creature up, you have to spend 5 spirit from your pool to keep it up and going. And then multi-creature combat, you may attack a single target with 2 summoned creatures using a single action card. And I think there might be some changes there, Sean, just because I know that some of our handling with summons and things like that are changing.
There are some tweaks in the next patch.
So be aware, everyone. What you play with here is it's still in development, but big changes are coming, which should make you even more excited. Also, based on any feedback we received from the community as we're going through, the more the better. It helps us shape the game that you all want to play. So keep it rolling in. The feedback we received thus far has been amazing. Okay. So this takes us down to all the way to the bottom. Marine, hi.
Yeah.
I think there's a question
Oh.
about the summon school, I think.
Yes,
I'm
go
looking
ahead.
at chat.
Go ahead. And that actually, again, it might be changing, but go ahead and ask away.
They haven't asked just yet, but I know that they've asked if there's a...
I'm sure it'll pop
Yeah,
up.
I'm sure it'll pop up.
They've posited their question,
Pop,
Yes.
their desire for question.
pop, pop.
The
Yeah, so-
burning- Sorry.
So far, it says quick question about the summon school trait,
And it
and that's
just,
it.
yeah, it just hovers there. It's just going to say the whole stream. Quick question. We're all like, okay.
Mm,
There you go.
All right, so moving on to Marine, go ahead.
There you go.
I'm going to be playing as a monk. So I already went and found the paths, but yeah, it's on page. 1 second.
As it's worded right now, Vigilante, yes, it would. Again, I'm not sure what it's going to be with 1.8.2. Jake has been baking that away in the development kitchen. But yes, that would apply to other summoned things as well.
You can find that on page 74.
Like I know the gears are spinning over there in your head, and you're thinking necromancer and like the Govnath and the skeletons. Yeah,
How could
Having
you
that-
tell?
having that having that ability. Yep, and that's why multi-classing between classes is phenomenal. Okay, so moving to Marine again. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. What
It's all
class are you
good.
going with?
I'm gonna be playing as a monk.
Ooh,
So yeah, there's that.
so with your monk, okay, and again in this one it does have starting equipment, and for anything that you hit in the book, like let's say your character doesn't have starting equipment, the best way for you to handle that right now, as you're testing, is give it what makes sense, and you don't have to pay for it. Like I said before, you don't have to have starting gold to pay for it. Whatever you want to give your character right now while you're playing and testing our system, just go ahead and give it. So if it's a monk, cloth makes sense, right? If it's a shaman, leather makes sense. If it's not listed, go ahead and go with that. Later in the book, we do have tables with all of the armor and specific values listed. Those will be changing as well, but you use them for essentially playing and testing as you go along. Hello, welcome. Okay, so you're going monk. Are you going to go into a tier?
I'm
off of
going
monk?
to dual class
Ooh,
as
okay.
a beast tamer. I'm gonna take the beast taming path
So
for the beastmaster, and I've already chosen my creature because I can choose a beast of rating 17 or lower. I chose
Oh.
the Yulong.
Sorry.
I know, right?
Oh, I got so excited.
So the route path you're choosing is beast taming, and yes, the route path for beast taming does grant an animal companion, as well as the other things listed here. So he chose a Yulong. Spell that for me, please.
Yulong, if I'm not mistaken. I'm gonna check.
That's correct.
Yeah, I think we have it. I'm pretty sure we have it in the. There it is. So we
you
do
can
have it.
transform into them when you take the spirit guide class as
Correct.
well. I believe they have the element of fire.
So I don't have a picture in here of the Yulong, but basically, what does it look like, Sean? To basic description.
Think of it as a long, like weasel, ferret, otter type of creature that can fly magically without wings, and it has a wide tail, and it's very cute. It's probably actually one of the smallest creatures in Adia because I think it's like 12 feet long. But yeah, it's fuzzy, furry. Don't touch it; it might burn you though.
Yeah, I
Right.
was about to say it
That's-
makes up for that with its magic.
So he
Was,
has.
like-
So he will have that Yulong. Now, for anybody that's wondering about pets, companions, those things, we do have a companion sheet. This is a very, very rough draft. We did put 4 on there just because like some classes might need extra things for summons and things like that. But in here, you can see the stats listed to my left. You're going to go ahead and put all those ability stats. I did not put space for modifiers, so you basically would want to put a line here and put in your stat number and then the modifier for that, because even creatures that you summon, they're essentially going to take their own actions, sharing your turn during a phase. So if we go back to that magical sheet here, the way that Marine's creature would work is during a round of combat. Let's say it was in round 2 with him, first phase of round 2. Both Marine would go and his creature would go in that phase. And it usually happens one right after the other. And sometimes the way you can role play it is simultaneous. And a good example of that is you can actually mount some of the creatures that when you're a Beastmaster, so they can essentially let's say a good example came up from role playing stuff we talked about on last Saturday with the group that I'm running locally here. If you're riding a Griffin, could the Griffin scratch your target as you swing your scimitar at its face? Yes, it can. The way it would be handled is both you and your Griffin would roll your dodge value. Roll your 3d8. Figure out if both of you hit, and then, as always, if you hit 8s on that, if these become magical 8s here, boop, 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 you add extra d6 to the damage. And ultimately, if you hit one little secret that I didn't let you guys in on, but we've talked about it a lot with our system, if you hit 3 d8s, you get 3 extra d8s worth of damage plus any type of armor the target has.
3d6 worth of damage.
Sorry, 3d6. I misspoke. All the armor that target has goes bye-bye, and it's all pure damage that you're delivering. It's a mega crit essentially.
So it's like a true strike type thing.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, but this is basically the companion sheet that we've included. It is available on that on our Kickstarter page if you follow the link to create a character.
I'm also uploading an image for the Yulong too, so everyone can see it.
Yulong is like a phoenix mixed with a weasel.
It's adorable.
The crit is for the crit for that attack. Yeah, the crit is for that one attack that you're performing. Okay.
When they found out that Yulongs existed, they just go look at it and go, Yulong.
That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what
All right. So you've all created your classes. Some of you created multi-classes, and now I'm good. I have the Paradisian. I'm actually going to go with an assassin for the Paradisian.
Nice.
Are you a raven? You should be a raven.
No, it's more brown plumage.
Oh,
It's a hawk.
like a hawk.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. And if we jump over to assassin,
Is he gonna make the Nighthawk?
wow, having lots of trouble typing tonight.
If y'all want to know more about the Nighthawk, y'all can check out the Kickstarter page. I actually
Also-
posted a comment of the character. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
So I gain all the root paths, but first I'm going to walk you all, because that's so when we get back to me, this is where we sort of like go through all the skills and how we're going to populate those. So right off the bat, I gain +1 to my evade. So I'm just going to put that here. I get rank 1 in evade. I have proficiencies in leather armor, blades, and bows. I'm just going to throw that in my traits right here. Proficiency, leather armor, blades, and bows. And then I gain 1 action card. So I start with a single action card. That becomes 2 now. And then I get Puncturing Strike. And Puncturing Strike is, and this is where I'll use that path thing. So this we're going to call this my, I'm doing exactly what I told you all not to do. I'm going back here. So I gain 1 evade, proficiencies, leather blade, gain 1 action card, and Puncturing Strike. So what I'll write down here is combat. And then a little line there. I swear that's a line. And then Puncturing Strike. And this is a utility card. And so my next attack, halves the physical armor of a target. And that's kind of what we're going to do there. And then I would go through and write that for all my root paths. I am not going to multi-class since we had enough examples of that. So I would choose. So there's combat, and there's. Let me write down. Shadows.
Love shadows.
And shadows, I gain 1 to my arcane. I gain 2 to my sneak. I gain 1 to duplicity. So my duplicity actually is now a 3 because I got that +2 because of my race choice. Yeah.
John.
And then +1 to disguise. And I'm writing that off screen. I'm sorry. So all these skills I just populated here are from my choice in my core path here, my root path of assassin. I also gain a spell card. So now instead of having only 1, I have 2 spell cards in my starting encounter hand. I get a proficiency in the Thieves Kit. And while in shadows, I gain what's called Shadow Affinity. So in here, I'll write down Shadow Affinity. And spot checks against me, I get a -4.
Having that problem with the document again.
And then +1 dodge value at night. So you can see I'm sort of shorthanding a lot of this. And most of my skill things for my paths I'm putting right to my main character sheet here. So as you guys are building characters in our system, it's going to be a little bit back and forth between the sheets. If you guys have suggestions on better ways to do it, please let us know. As part of what we're testing here as well. These are really, really rough character sheets. Nothing set in stone here. So if there's anything you guys have suggestions on, let us know. And then the last path I have here is poison, my poison path. And I get survivalist +2. Survivalist +2. Medicine +1. On here it's actually written as medical, but the same thing. Sleight of hand +2. Sleight of hand +2. I gain a harvesting kit.
I want a harvesting kit.
And I gain 1 utility card. So now you can sort of see how things have sort of morphed as we've created our characters. So when I just had the basic things, and we went over like how the encounter cards work at the beginning. Now instead of just one of each of them, I have 2 actions, 2 spells, 2 utilities. I still retain only a single position regen and refresh card, but each of our characters end up with a slightly different encounter deck, and those encounter decks are built in a way that is catered toward the path you've chosen. And also, as I mentioned earlier on the stream, there's an economy system to this, and this is part of the balance in our system. I will tell you that if ultimately you play with a group and they're like, we don't want to use these cards, we don't have to. But we will tell you that the experience could be different because without that economy, it could change the experience of the game. And some of the things that we really mean by that is, okay, you're going to cast a spell. It's going to take phases to do that, 2 or 3 phases to do that. That's great as long as somebody's tracking it. But then when it goes off and they're like, okay, I'm going to cast another spell, and that's all they do is sit there and just keep casting spells. It's kind of what we wanted to. We wanted to get rid of some of that mundane stuff that happens in role playing. So that's why. That is why. Okay. So now all our base, we have our class chosen. We're ready to rock and roll and do all our calculations here. So go back to creating a character. Shane, could you tell me what that page number is for creating a character?
For which character?
Creating a character in Adia. There's like an outline here. Creating your character. There it is. Chapter 3, page 18. So if you're following along at home, page 18. And that's very true. The cards help the GM keep track of everything. And in a lot of ways, the players too. But okay, so we picked our races. We picked our classes. We're ready to rock and roll and do some calculations. So step 4 is a stat increase. So all of us now get to look at our base stats, and we get to add 40 points, a pool of 40 points to those various stats. So basically it allows you to examine what build you've come up with and where do you think your points should now line up with what you've built in a better way. So I'm going to look at mine real quick. You guys all examine yours. You have 40 points. Timer is starting now. For anybody at home, if there's any questions, let us know. But since I went with an assassin, a lot of what I'm going to be doing is probably either strength or agility based, mostly agility as long as I choose finesse weapons and ranged weapons. So I'm probably going to boost this. What do we have? 15, so let's see, 40.
Also, too, yeah, is as a side note for each class, it actually there's a like if you're a spellcaster, you go to Spirit Magic and you go to Chapter 10. It actually tells you what classes use are their casting stat. So
Okay.
a shaman is spirit, a necromancer is int, for example.
Okay.
So I myself, I'm going to be putting 20 into int and 20 into spirit.
Okay.
Is that fully smart? I don't know. We're going to find out.
We're going to find out.
Don't put it all into toughness like I did last time with my shaman.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do
Bad
that.
idea. I was like
I
a
remember
tank.
that.
So I'm definitely going to put 15. So let's see. So I'm going to put 15 into my agility. That's boosted to 30. And then my toughness is really low where it is. My other stats are actually pretty high, but we don't work on a system where you can borrow against those stats. Those are your base stats are your base stats. So I'm left with roughly 25 points here of those bonus 40. So I'm going to put 17 into toughness, which will put me at an even 20. Oops. And so 17 goes there. Oh. 25 minus 17 is what, everybody?
25 minus 17?
Mm-hmm.
That's 13. I'm pretty sure it's 13.
It's not 13.
No. I'm stupid.
No, it's
I
okay.
just threw out
It's
a
eight.
number, apparently.
I think it's 8. I'm
It
pretty
is.
sure.
It is 8. It is 8. See, laugh at me. Laugh at me, Shane. See what happens.
I didn't laugh at you. I laughed at myself. I
and
just
then
threw out apparently I'm stupid.
and then I'm gonna take of that 8 remaining. I'm gonna take 5 of it and boost my strength to 10, and then I have a remaining 3 then from there, and I'm going to go ahead and gain another bonus from Spirit. I'm gonna dump 3 into that, making it even 20. Not that the Spirit helps me too much, but by boosting that, I get in the 10 spot. Remember, that's where we get our modifiers. So now if we go down my ability stats, I get a +1 in strength. I just put +2. +1 in strength. A +3 in agility. A +2 in toughness. A +2 in spirit. A +1 in int, and a +1 in social. Now, all of these ability stats are also going to translate over to our skills. So there's an int modifier for alchemy. So even though I don't have a rank in alchemy, I still am going to be rolling at a 1 because my int mod over here is a 1. So all the stuff translates from the ability scores and the ability modifiers over to your skills as well. In our system, you don't require to be trained in skills. Whatever your point is in a skill, you just bonus on a roll or a check, as long as you have modifiers that help you bonus. So, for example, if I didn't have my int at a +1, I wouldn't get any bonus in alchemy, but you can always run, like if somebody says do an alchemy check, you're still going to roll your 3d8, get a total on that. So 14, 17, 17 plus 1. So my check would be 18. So that's just the way that works. So all of these modifiers are going to transplant over here. I'm not going to go through the whole list of them because that could take a little while. I'm going to move on to the next part of this. Next aspect, your combat. So your dodge value. Notice that it said base dodge value when you chose your race. Your dodge value is increased by your agility modifier as well. So your base dodge value, mine was 14, now went up to a 17. And everybody following along at home, just take whatever your new agility modifier is and add it to that dodge value. That was your base. Your HP pool is your toughness, not your modifier, your pure toughness score, which mine is 20 multiplied by 2. So my HP pool, I have a max of 40 HP. Your spirit or casting pool is same thing. Your spirit, mine is base 20. My base ability stat is 20, so it's times 2. So my spirit is also 40.
Right. And yeah, wait. So yeah, 40 total is your spirit pool.
Yes.
Okay. See, and mine is 66. So.
Yeah. And again, that's where you might want to take those odd numbers. So when you're looking at toughness and spirit, dumping those odd numbers that you might have left over from your balance, instead of maybe boosting a skill that you might not utilize, if you're a caster or if you want extra health, you can dump those extra points into there because it is a pure whatever your ability score is multiplied by 2, and that's where you get, like Sean has a 66 there for his health pool. Your speed And the way it's worded in the book is a little weird, but you have to think of the "Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally." The basically you're going to do your parentheses and then multiply that out and then add it. But basically you're multiplying your agility modifier times 5. Is it? I'll look at it here because it's in our book here. This is the only one I get confused on. My base speed, my walking speed, is a calculation that sometimes I get confused on. So let me go right to it here.
I believe it's 5 plus 5.
It's 5. So it's 5 times your agility modifier plus 5.
There you go.
Because 5 plus 5 times your agility modifier doesn't really make as much sense because that's 10. It's just you just say 10. 10 times agility modifier. So it's 5 times your agility modifier and then plus 5. So 5 times my agility, which is 3, is 15 plus 5 gives me walking speed, base walking speed of 20. And I'll write that on here. So it is 5 times agi mod
You're pretty fast Paradisian.
plus 5.
Wow. Because you have
Thank
flight
you.
too, right?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Temporary HP is utilized when you're actually in the heart of your adventure and stuff like that. But those are all of my base stats. We kind of glossed over the equipment, but that again is essentially all you're going to write in equipment. I guess we'll go over that real quick. But everybody else, how did your characters come out? I'll start with Sean.
Pretty good. I even named my character already.
Oh, you
wanna
did?
know his name? Yeah. Yep. So his name is Tanbeo Corefoot.
Corefoot or Corefort?
Corefoot.
Corefoot.
Yeah. So being a senzai, he comes from that, and core being essentially their star, their sun in the
Right.
sky. So
he has sun feet.
that's right.
Finn, how'd your character come out?
Mine came out pretty well. It ended up being a very agile fighter.
Okay.
All the proficiencies were all on finesse weapons for that reason.
Good.
And he's pretty fast as well.
Someone said on chat, he's walking on sunshine.
And here I'm a necromancer prancing through. Death.
Yeah. But yes, with that, it's gonna work on equipment, but
Yeah, we will work on equipment. Annie?
Not bad. So for some reason, I don't know. I think my spirit pool is lower than the necromancer, but I guess I slept through spirit pool lessons
you
101.
ran a mage, right? I think you might have a.
Where did you allocate your 40 points?
Yeah, where did you put your
I
points?
put all but 5 of them in there, but you said you had like 66 in your spirit pool.
Yeah, well, for my spirit pool, but for my actual
Oh.
modifier,
Got it.
so my spirit itself is 33.
Okay, then that mine is higher because I got mine up to a 45.
There you go. So then
Oh,
you're
there we go.
yeah. So you're actually 45 times 2 for your spirit
Yeah.
pool.
All right,
Yeah.
so that's pretty good.
Oh.
So you have a 90 spirit pool.
I'm really squishy though. Just gonna throw that out there as a thing. So
Super squishy.
I am super squishy
Super
because I didn't
squishy.
really put anything else into my toughness, so I kept it at like a 5. So just don't let me get hit. It's gonna be bad.
And Shane, Marine, how you doing over there? What do you got?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I don't have my character's not like crazy strong, but he's not like really weak. I tried to go for like an all-rounder because he's going to be playing around the fact that he's got a Yulong, which can help him with damage and with healing.
Okay.
So I ended up going with just like a little bit of strength, but I'm very agile and I do have a lot of toughness. So
Very good.
Oh, and I ended up taking that adaptability and throwing that in at the end. So technically, I got plus 50 to my stats instead of plus 40.
Good. Good. Yeah. So that's
That's awesome.
that's the core stat build here. So for anybody who wanted to know and was interested. Then moving on, and again, this takes a little bit longer. Honestly, once you do this, even the first time you do it, it doesn't take as long because we're actually doing 5 characters here. This is kind of like a session 0 type thing, where we all have to talk about our characters and as we're building them together. So these things naturally take a little bit longer, and especially with the new group, if you're running a group through this, it's going to take a little while because you guys are going to be reading a lot more than we did because we're much more familiar with what we're looking at here. But once you're acclimated, character building doesn't take that long. So down into the armor aspect. So most of you, if your class did not list it, for example, as a rogue, as an assassin, I should say, I'm going to have leather on. That's just right off the bat. I didn't actually take a tier 1 when I demonstrated my stuff, or I didn't multi-class either. But I would likely tier 1 to combat, which would give me bonuses to aspects of my combat. I'm thinking with this rogue, I'm going to be leaving with like dual daggers. So I just write dagger here. And I'll show you guys in the book down here, we have a table further down. This gives us the weapon types. Unarmed is not on that list, and it's something we're going to be fixing just because we had some discussions about that with some of the testers. But you can see there's light, heavy, melee, and ranged. So dagger is right here. If I were to purchase it, not getting it free with my character, it would be 1 gold, and it allows for 1 mods, and mods are something we will be bringing into the game in later releases. It's concealable, and it has finesse, and it's 1d6 worth of damage, piercing. That's what that P stands for. And it's stating a range of 15 feet because I believe it could also be thrown. But so 1d6 piercing on that blade, and so I would just write down here 1d6, and normally under abilities I write piercing here on my sheet so I know what kind of damage it is. d6. So yeah, I'm just gonna rock the double daggers. They're each one-handed and they're both equipped, and the leather armor itself. If you look at the table for armor, there's a table for leather armor, and we just go down the list there. So I'm going to actually forego the head. I don't think it's right for me. I might do like a cowl or something like that. But again, when we look at the starting classes, any customization you want to do would be like role playing it out and buying it in town. Whatever the class comes with or starts with, you got to go with that. So. If you want to change it out later or RP it for a different reason, it's open. You're open to do that. So I'll just say on the head I don't start with anything. On the chest we'll do the hard leather brigandine, and that has physical armor of 5 and a magical armor of 4. My arms will have the bracers. Like, and that's going to be 4 and 3. Hands will be the gloves. And gloves are going to be 2 and 3. Waist, we don't really have belts in the system yet. It's still a slot, and there will be things. Most belts are going to be like special type of items, so we don't really have those listed in our tables. Legs, just pants. hard leather pants, and 4 and 3. And feet is the leather boots, and that's 2 and 3. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and just add up all of your totals. So 9, 10, 11, 17 PA, and 7, 10, 13, 16 MA. So I have 17 defense against physical attacks, 16 defense against magical attacks. Without going into way too much detail, the basics here is that anytime something hits me, if it's 17 or under, that damage is going to be halved. Anything above that 17 mark, it will be the pure damage. So if somebody hits me for 20 damage, I'd be getting 3 pure, and then the remaining amount of damage would be halved. So half of 17 rounded down would be the remaining damage that I receive. So what does that come out to? 8-ish? Yeah? That right? So 8 and then 3, so yeah. That's basically how the armor system works in our game. A lot of people, when I initially explain that, say, well, why didn't you just not call it resistance? And the reason we did not call it resistance is because there are resistance calculations outside of that come into play in the combat section. That's why we did not give it the moniker of resistance. And I think, et voila, that's it, right? We have built characters. We just built 5 characters, and all of these beautiful characters are campaign ready. Things like shields are important, and I'm not, like, again, I don't want to go deep into combat. There's a lot of things going on in our combat section of our book. We might do another stream just explaining that kind of stuff. I think we might. Just because there's so many cool things happening in combat that I would love to share with you. And the encounter cards come into reactions and things that you could do with reactions too. Reactions.
Yep, and that's the other thing too. So for everyone watching, if you don't want to write down things by hand, because I mean it kind of depends on the person. Some people like the paper feel, other people like digital. On the Kickstarter, where there's a big blue button that says "See the Rules," if you click on that, there's a folder that actually contains editable PDF sheets for your character.
I'll take you over there right now. Let's take a visit.
That's what I've been using.
Me too.
It's a big blue box that says "See the Rules." See the rules, and under "See the Rules," you click that box, and it takes you to this folder on a Google Drive. And that folder is where you have the rulebook we were just showing you all, and then create your own character folder. And all of these things, once you download them in PDF form, will be these beautiful. Let me see if I have my desktop. I'm sure I do. And they actually auto-calculate, which is great. Now, auto-calculation sometimes is a bit wonky, only because there's skills that don't auto-calculate that you might get bonuses for. Let me change the zoom level here.
Like, I can't set my mana to what it's supposed to be because the wisdom thing gives me plus 10.
That's correct. You might have to manually scratch that out once you print them out. But it's not a perfect system, but it's pretty good. So if I had a strength of 20, it's going to automatically throw that modifier in there. Agility, let's say 15. So you can see all that stuff automatically. Your speed is automatically calculated, which I think should be right, but you might have to double check that. 15.
It doesn't account for bonuses from Corsair.
What's that?
It doesn't account for bonuses from Corsair.
No.
That was something you manually put in after.
Correct.
Or when you print out, you write it in.
Yep.
It's pretty easy plus 10 though, so it's not like a huge.
But you can see, so we populate all that, and everything else changes with the exception of dodge value, because the dodge value, you just put your basic dodge value and put your agility modifier added to it. The reason I did not calculate that was probably because I forgot to. But that's just as easy as adding your agility modifier to your base dodge value. And you can see all this stuff automatically populates. As soon as you change your rank in these, that too will permeate over and change your totals in those categories. On the armor sheet, all you have to do is put your paw on mine, your physical armor, and your magical armor, and you will get a total generated on the bottom here. And you can fill in the route path. I do a lot of copy and pasting for that part, which is far less of a headache than what you saw here tonight, manually trying to shorthand it. And then we also have the spell sheet.
And if you're a Beastmaster, I think there is the companion sheet separate, or I think
It's
It
separate.
is separate, and those fields unfortunately are not editable. A version thing might have caused it to happen, but I don't have that as an editable sheet. But only a few classes utilize companions and summons right now, and most of them were actually under review. That's why we didn't really spend a lot of time on these sheets. But yes, you could just print these out and handwrite those things on for that one. And the spell sheet does have so spell sheet apparently does not. I did have that where you could write it in, but that again, handwritten, and just throw in name of the spell and the page number it's on, so you can easily reference it. All right, anybody of the Smunchy team? Well, this is the first time we've gotten together as this kind of group here. Like we've parsed out like maybe 2 or 3 of us have created characters together. What are your thoughts?
That was fun. I want to play
wanna
this
play.
character.
I'm probably gonna drag him through Secret Saturday.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, so actually,
Yeah.
everyone who's watching, if you have Tabletop Simulator, you can go and play Secrets of Tyner and take a character that you made tonight through that module. That's the gem in a box.
Let's go ahead and
You can do it all by yourself too. It's the best part.
yeah, we did this in the last video. The video is we're running about an hour and 41 minutes now, which is actually less time than we did spend on Secrets of Tyner. But I'll go ahead and show you guys what that looks like, the module for Secrets of Tyner.
Yeah. I'm excited because I just gave my Necro a magical implement, which is his staff, so he just added 50 to his spirit. Cool.
Oh my gosh, is it going to be a spirit off Smunchy? Is how this is going to work?
I have
Mage versus Necro.
I gave my Corsair a battle fan.
Got spirit. Yes,
A
we
what?
do. We've got
Cool.
spirit. How about you?
I gave my Corsair a battle fan.
A
Dude,
battle
that's
fan? Like,
awesome.
Oh, man. I'm a
I'm
little
imagining
jealous.
like a Tamari style battle fan.
Yeah.
Like, yep.
that's
Okay.
awesome.
So the encounter cards are actually right in Tabletop Simulator. You guys all saw the physical versions in my hand, but these are the digital versions. They actually have a custom back. Is that going to be the final version, the back that's in Tabletop, or now? Ish? On the encounter cards?
Oh yes, yeah. they
The
will be.
physical encounter cards, okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Uh,
not completely final because they don't have the drone artwork. So
Correct, that's correct. But if you look here, you have your story cards here, so that will lead you through the story itself. And when you guys do trigger an encounter for Secrets of Tyner, again, this is a brief module. It's not the full scope of what it comes with Secrets of Tyner.
Just a little appetizer.
Yeah, just a taste, just a bump.
Just a bump.
Just a bump.
looks like Vigilante actually has a pretty good question there.
Can
I don't know how to answer
you?
right now.
Can you hand stab within the store SP to other people so that they can use it?
Can you hand staff or things like items?
Yeah, like magical implements.
I wouldn't
Okay. So I understand what he's saying. So basically, if you took a spell from your memory and place it into a spell book, could you just hand that spell book to another caster in your party, and then they could read from it and gain it to their memory?
or could they just get the spirit from that implement? Is what I'm kind of reading that as. It's like
I mean, yeah. If you're going to gift items amongst your party, then I don't see any problem with that. In terms of the spell book, that's actually something I personally haven't thought of. Maybe Jake has. So I'd have to go back to Jake and see how angry he gets at me for mentioning that.
It'll also kind of fall upon GM discretion.
Yeah, I was just about to say that it falls upon your game master.
Mhm.
Really.
A lot of that does fall under game master. But I mean, if I was running a game with it 100%, if the player was like, I hand my spell book that I've collected over X amount of times to my brand new player next to me, and he could pull whatever spell he wants and put it into his memory slot.
Watch it haphazardly go awry. As he
Yeah,
feels.
and actually, I kind of, to be honest, that's kind of what we're one of the. Yes, absolutely, I would love to do that in the game that I would run. Mainly because we talk about how we don't really do a level system here, and the creatures you will encounter, there's a threat aggro scale. So, yeah.
The only time that like it wouldn't work though is if it's a restricted spell. So
Correct.
grade 4 and 5 are restricted spells. So if you hand your book off to another player,
They won't be able to read it.
they can't use grade 4 or 5 of that. They're gonna look at this and gonna be like, I can't read this Gatra. I don't know what the heck this
Right.
is. This doesn't
From
make
the
sense.
restricted
is-
section of the library. You have the proper pass.
I mean, people have broken into it before.
Boxy just shows up and like a blinding light burns your character's eye sockets.
No.
Goes up as
No,
like,
now turn around.
So before this
Try again.
devolves completely here, I believe that's all we have this evening. I want to thank everybody who joined us. And that thank you, heartfelt thank you, comes from everybody from the Smunchy team. We appreciate all the support we've already received, all the support that if you're on the fence and you're going to back us, or if you're just catching wind of us and you're excited about what we're providing here, we're very excited. We're very thankful for the support we've already received and will receive in the future. So thank you guys very much. We got past 60%. We're on our way to 70% funding, and we were at 99 backers. So the magical 100th backer. I guess I travel to their house and kiss them. Is that how it works?
It hasn't happened yet.
I mean,
But
if
yeah.
you is that a backer goal? If you
Oh,
reach
God.
a certain backer, you get
Absolutely.
a
Uh,
I love how fast that backtrack.
backer now.
Yeah.
But again, thank you all so much.
Do we still
Um,
have singing telegrams? Is that a thing? Like, can we send one of those
Yes,
to somebody?
it's you get a telegram from me. So
Did you like hire a barbershop quartet and they go in?
oh,
Is that
God.
what that is?
I don't know if that's in the budget. I don't know if that's in the
No.
Smunchy budget.
My uncle is in a barbershop quartet.
There we go. We send Shane's uncle to your house. None of the rest of the quartet. Just Shane's uncle, and he shows up and sits on your couch for like a weekend.
He's just aggressively playing his harmonica.
Well, back it now, guys.
Yeah. All right,
I want that aggressive harmonic.
Sean. Is there anything else you want to share with the community before we sign off for the night?
Origins is coming up. I know we talked about that briefly. I'll just say this: expect to see some Smunchy Games shirts at Origin. So if you are going to the Origins convention, which is when, Will? That's June.
June 12th to the 16th, I believe. It's either June 12th or 13th. It's a long one. It's a long one. It's a long haul. Yeah, 12th to the 16th in Columbus. I'm gonna say Columbus, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So
12th to
expect to
16th.
see some of those shirts for sure.
Yeah, we'll be around.
Take
Pictures
And
of us do nerdy things.
right. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And and we will also have hats with us if you're interested while you're there. We may have Ukrka, which is our upcoming board game based in the world of Paths.
Did you see Marine's face right now?
Marine's
go.
He's like, what?
I want to go now.
And we'll have another surprise with us that you can all test and play and get an idea of the Smunchy family of games that we're starting out with.
That's right. Yep. So, and again, I'm going to repeat what Will said. For everyone who has backed, everyone who's shared, everyone who's been a part of this community. Thank you so much. I mean, you guys have been amazing. We are on our way to 70%. I mean, it's pretty incredible to see this. So, please, I'm going to ask if you have any feedback about the game. We would love to hear it.
Yes,
Please go into the rules, read the rules, or ask us about the rules. Ask us about the game. You know, we'll offer to be game master. We do plan to have more game master involvement in Smunchy Games. So if you are a game master, aka dungeon master of any kind, and you kind of want a head start in, yep, come join our Discord or give one of us a call. But either way, we're going to be doing some really cool things. So you're going to want to get in early, and you're going to want to get in now, because later on down the road, we don't want you to miss out on those things. Because this, typically, you know, we always hear the thing of FOMO, fear of missing out. This really is one of those things you don't want to miss out on. This is pretty big. So please get in while you can, and just thank you for joining us tonight. This was fun.
Thank you all very much. Good night.
Okay, so I gotta come up with money to go to Origin.
Love you all. Have a wonderful night.
Good evening, everybody.